The Vietnam Era, World History, Part 1. Where is Vietnam? Vietnam is located south of China, bordering both Laos and Cambodia. It is also bordered by the South China Sea. The French retained control after World War II, dividing up Southeast Asia just as they did in Europe, where the United States, Great Britain, Russia, and France each decided to and then did control different parts of the world. The French had issues with a gentleman by the name of Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh studied in both China and Russia and was a huge supporter of communism. The Chinese actually supported Ho Chi Minh so much that they sent guns and supplies in order to have him take and overthrow the government run by the French. In 1954, the communist troops attacked the fort of Dien Bien Phu, located in the northern part of Vietnam, close to the Chinese border. Because of the outcome of that, the country was divided into North and South Vietnam along the 17th parallel, having two distinct but different capitals, Hanoi in the north and Saigon in the south. The north is communist, run by Ho Chi Minh. The south, run democratically by Nguyen Diem Diem. Why did we get involved? Because both President Truman and President Eisenhower believed in the domino theory. The idea that if one country fell to communism, then all other countries in Southeast Asia, all the way through the Pacific Islands and Australia, could and would be at risk to become communist. So, there were two leaders in Vietnam. The Soviet Communist Chinese-backed Ho Chi Minh and the United States French puppet gentleman put in place, Ngo Dinh Diem. Ngo Dinh Diem was not a good man. He was very corrupt. He was not kind to the peasants. Ho Chi Minh was good to the peasants. He gave them all land and made them feel as though they were a part of the country. People were drawn to Ho Chi Minh. General people hated Ngo Dinh Diem. As a matter of fact, Ngo Dinh Diem was actually so disliked, and he was so not favorable to the Buddhists that unfortunately they started self-immolation, which meant they set themselves on fire in the streets of Saigon protesting his rule. So what happened was this. The National Liberation Front, or the NLF, became formed. They were also known as Vietnamese Communists, or Viet Cong, VC for short. It's a word that is freely used in discussing the Vietnam era when you talk about people in South Vietnam that were actually fighting on the side of the communists. Why this change in leadership? Well, Diem was assassinated. Again, he was not well liked, and after Diem, there is not a set leader that we talk about in South Vietnam because none of them lasted very long. They were either ousted or killed or left because they were afraid of dying. So we sent stuff. We sent tanks and helicopters, planes, and jeeps. All items that we were sure were going to help us win this huge battle. The Gulf of Tonkin. You see, President Johnson really wanted to up our role in Vietnam. But he couldn't just do it. Two of our ships were supposedly attacked by North Vietnamese patrol boats in the Gulf of Tonkin. Unfortunately, when all was said and done, it seemed as if one of the attacks for sure never happened. And in the wake of all of that, in this general area, again, north of the 17th parallel, our Congress gave them, by them I mean the presidents, the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, which allowed all presidents to use war powers and send American troops into Vietnam. As a saying can go here, we had less than 20,000 troops in 62, about 22,000 in 63, 25,000 in 64. By the middle of 1965, we had almost 200,000 troops. By less than a year later, we had 100,000 troops. And within 4 years of the presidential orders being allowed, we increased the number of troops by over 450,000 troops. We never declared war on North Vietnam. So what happened? Ho Chi Minh, along with Brezhnev and Mao Zedong was from China, Brezhnev was from Russia, they supported and gave Ho Chi Minh everything that he was going to need in order to successfully try to beat the French and the Americans for control of South Vietnam. This concludes the first part of the PowerPoint presentation from April 8th, 2014, Ms. Wozniak's U.S. History class.